listening to Tassie Encounters Moments on Faith FM, and we're coming to you from Tasmania, right across Australia. Each weekday at 9 a.m, you can hear what the Bible says about past, current and future events. You can learn how to study the Bible more effectively. You can get to know who God is, why we're here and where we're going. And you can experience personal encounters with Jesus. I'm your host, Jason Cook, and today David Maxwell is back with us, continuing our Tassie Encounters Moments topic of the harvest of the earth. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Jason. Good to be back.
It's good to have you. We've been looking through this concept and this topic this week, and I guess really started off with the idea of the fact that we all have a choice, and God gives us that choice to make. And but yeah, as today we're moving through these verses of Revelation chapter 14. So, yes. How are we going to start this today? Oh, before we do, I probably should just remind our listeners, we've got a free book offer coming up, 0488 880 891. If you don't have that number saved somewhere, write it down now because you might need it later, 0488 880 891.
Thanks, Jason. So, look, we've got that personal challenge question as well, going right back to the beginning of this week. Have you ever witnessed or experienced a genuine return to God after an absence of some kind? So if you've got a story where you walked away, you saw someone, perhaps one of your friends or church members walk away, and then you saw them have this epiphany, that this connection with God and came back, text in a short message so that we can share that on one of our other days.
Sure.
So we've looked at a number of things. We've looked at this Son of Man arriving on a cloud, and he had a sickle. We saw he had this victor's crown, and today we're actually going to look at the cloud. Why does it mention a cloud? Could you read Revelation 14:15 for me, please, Jason?
Sure, and it says in the New King James Version today, "And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, 'Thrust your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe.'"
Thanks, Jason. Have you ever been in a cloud?
On a plane, I have, yes, going through the clouds and it's beautiful when you're flying just above the clouds.
Yes, I've done that a number of times. I can remember when I was in the Air Force and we were going away on an exercise. We took off in the big Chinook helicopter, and as we looked out the window, we could see we were above the clouds. It was just like a snowy mountain, a snowy field. It was just beautiful, sunny above, cloudy below, but there was this rolling hills of cloud. My brother does skydiving, and he will sometimes, not often, he doesn't like to do it often, you've got to keep away from the clouds, but so you can see what's below, but he will sometimes go through the clouds, and he says it's an interesting experience. Not soft and fluffy, but you're not hitting anything hard either. So the angel gives a command to Jesus, as we've seen, who is seen by John as sitting on a white cloud. Now, this is a very interesting part of the vision, but it's another confirmation of who this is. You see, as Jesus was leaving his disciples, and remember, John would have been there. But as he was leaving his disciples, Dr. Luke records in Acts 1 verse 9 that he was taken up and a cloud received him out of their sight. So it's quite significant that the two angels that were present say to the disciples, this same Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will so come in like manner as you saw him go into heaven. And now John, who was present, sees Jesus coming.
It's another confirmation, I guess, that this is actually Jesus. He ascended in the same sort of way, and now John's writing that he's going to come back in a similar sort of way.
Correct. And it's significant that this is John. This is one of his disciples that was standing there when those two men, said to them, "Hey, what are you looking up there for? He's coming back. He's coming back. And you saw him go in a cloud. He's going to come back in a cloud." And so I think that's really good confirmation there. So here we're given, we have an angel giving directions to Jesus to start the harvest. Thrust in the sickle and reap. And this is a clear directive to begin the harvest. You know, there's no more waiting. There's no more delay. There's no more time when Jesus is given that direction to reap. Now, Jesus himself says that only the Father knows when this time will be. But you can be sure it won't be a moment too early or a moment too late. God will ensure that everyone who has alive on this earth, those who have died, they will each have had time to make a decision one way or the other. You know, I don't know if you've had a time when you've had to come to a conclusion. You've had to make a decision on something. No more delay. You know, you waver maybe between two opinions. Shall I do this? Shall I do that? But eventually you make a decision one way or the other, whether it's right or not, don't you? So Jesus is about to start the harvest. In this regard, I believe it's very important to note that the angel tells Jesus that the time to reap is when the harvest is ripe. Now, in Matthew, Jesus talks about a parable of wheat and tares. And it's interesting that he harvests, or the harvest that's good, the harvest that's being reaped, is the good harvest. You know, you're going to harvest the wheat that's full in the grain. All right, so when the harvest is ripe, when it's grown to full development and it can't grow anymore, then it needs to be harvested so it doesn't go to seed and spoil. I don't know if you've seen a broccoli that's gone to seed. It's not very... It doesn't look very nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's got seeds coming out everywhere.
We've grown some lettuces, and when they go to seed, they become much, much taller, and the leaves become hard, you know, not very nice to eat. So.
Not palatable.
Yeah.
So interesting here, the harvest is ripe. It's ready. It's come to its full development, and it's ready to be harvested. So Jesus is sent to collect those who are faithfully his and bring them back to heaven. So reflecting on what we said yesterday, this is not cutting us off at the knees, but it's separating us from the earth. You know, it's separating us from the connections we have on earth, and it's done quickly. It's a sharp sickle. He wants to take us home quickly. Now, don't you think Jesus would be eager to get us home? You know, I think he would be. I'd be eager to go.
But there's obviously a reason why he's still waiting.
Yeah. He doesn't want anyone to be lost, does he?
Yeah, that's right. It says that in Peter somewhere.
Peter says that. He says, we think he's delaying and he's slow, but he's not slow, not the way we think. He is patient because he doesn't want anyone to be lost. He wants everyone to be saved. And so that's actually an important point that you raised, Jason. He's coming back for everyone, but not everyone wants to be going with him. Not everyone wants him. Not everyone has made the choice to follow him. But he'll take back those who have. And that's important.
It's interesting too in that parable of Mark 13, verse 32. Well, actually, maybe that's not where the parable is, but the parable of the wheat and the tares, where Jesus says, "Don't separate them now; it'll be separated at the end." And so, at the end of time, the wheat and the tares will be separated as he's coming back, I guess.
Yes. So we'll look at that a little bit tomorrow. But in chapter 13 of Matthew, you have this parable where he comes and he gathers up his harvest and takes it and puts it in the barn. And I want to go back to God's barn.
Absolutely. So what do we take away from that today?
A lot of things that we can learn from this. And firstly, I believe that in this part of the message, Jesus has given us a directive and an example of how he will return. And that's important because if Satan deceives people in counterfeiting Jesus' return, there'll be certain signs missing that the diligent Bible studier will pick up. And some of those things is he's not coming to meet us on the ground. He's meeting us in the air. He's going to resurrect all of those who have died. He's going to transform those who are alive, and he takes us back to be with him in heaven. Tomorrow we'll talk briefly, we'll read a couple of verses briefly, what happens about everybody else. And on Friday we can discuss that a little bit as well. But very, very important to note that when Jesus comes and collects his people, and that's just people who've accepted him, there's no second chances. He begins the harvest, he carries it through to the end. So we need to make up our minds today. And it's been said, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift, that's why it's called the present. So while you're breathing today, you have an opportunity to get to know Jesus and then allow him to ripen you to full maturity, if you like, when we're talking about the harvest analogy, to being his follower and as close as we can to be following him as closely as possible. And then we can be ready for his return whenever it is, doesn't matter. So my challenge today, or my appeal today is, are you ready? Are you allowing God to mature and prepare you for his soon return? If not, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Today is a gift. Today is the present. Today you can make a choice. So make a choice. And why are you allowing other things to shape and mould you into someone that God knows is not best for you? God is patient, not willing that any should perish, as we mentioned before. But he also knows that the time of Jesus' return to collect his faithful is getting very, very close. So why not choose today? Let him start preparing you for that great day. And to get some help in that, we don't know everything, but to get some help, get in contact with us on that number that you mentioned earlier, Jason. You'll mention again in a moment. So we can send you some info to help.
Absolutely. So right after this, our book offer.
This program is made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.
So our code today for the book, Changed for Life, Real Lives in a Real World by Carlos Camacho. Our code is TEM10. TEM10. Text that into 0488 880 891. Read the incredible stories of 8 people who face the same problems you're facing right now and find your story written between the lines. Their stories will show you how it can be done. Their stories will give you hope. Change for Life will remind you that no matter who you are, where you come from, or what kind of mess you're in today, God has a special purpose for your life. Change for Life is about you and how God desires to change you today and for eternity. So that is our book offer. Text us in on 0488 880 891, the code TEM10. Thank you, David. And tomorrow we'll be looking at the righteous harvest. This song was written by myself and Linda Story. I thought it was appropriate for today, and it's called He Will Come. We'll talk to you again in the next episode.
God bless.
Waiting for his return patiently. As we hold
take us home.
This program has been made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.